In this AI Creator Workshop session, you'll learn how to build a full marketing strategy from one simple AI prompt. We'll walk you through an exact workflow using Claude and Manus to research competitors, reverse engineer their best content, and turn it all into ready-to-post scripts, emails, and reels. And I'm super excited to be joined by Chris Winfield for this session. He's the co-founder of Super Connector Media and Hey Vision, which is an AI-powered agent that helps entrepreneurs run marketing, operations, and decision-making behind the scenes. Chris is well known for turning AI into real leverage instead of hype. And with that said, let's dive right into the session. Warm welcome to the session, Chris.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, after all these years, it's great to do something again. And
I know.
I know you are all in with AI. So if people stick around until the end of this session, what are they going to get out of this one?
I think they're going to have a much better understanding of who they're targeting in terms of like their ideal client avatar, how to figure out who that really is, and use AI to help you to really flesh that out. They're going to have a good understanding of how to do research and see like what the competitive landscape actually is. Something that in the past would have taken, I don't know, a week to do, we can do in a couple of minutes, however long it takes the bot to go. They're going to have a good understanding of how to come up with ideas for social media and use AI, but also to know when to not use AI and when to use themselves, because I think that's the problem now, is that people are going too far into just like, oh, AI can do everything, and they're just like removing what makes them special. So I want to make sure that that's not the case.
Yeah, and you talk a lot about kind of AI social selling. Maybe you can give a brief intro what it is that you do, and then we can dive into screen share and all that to kind of dive into the more practical stuff.
Yeah, sure. So AI social selling, we started doing a program around that a while ago, before social selling was even really a thing. And like the idea was, how do you use AI to sell more of your stuff on social media? Very, very simple, right? That's all that you can need to understand, because a lot of times what happens is people, they get more into how many followers do I have, how many views am I getting on this, and then they forget that the main reason that they're on there is to sell their stuff. But you can't just always be selling and selling and selling and selling. Nobody's going to pay attention to you. So how do you find that mix? And then how do you use that? And how do you leverage AI to help make it all so much easier?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in a little bit. I mean, I'll come in with questions here, but I
Okay.
think we should just dive in to show some workflows and different practical examples of how you're using this in your business and what could be relevant to creators, founders, solopreneurs, and people like that.
Cool.
There we go. Now it's coming up. Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Awesome. So I really
Yeah.
like Claude. It's probably my favorite right now. I think they're doing, Anthropic is the company that owns them. Claude is probably just feels like it's the best overall in terms of the research, in terms of copywriting. You can use ChatGPT, of course, it's good, and Gemini is good, and Manus is good, and we'll do Manus a little bit in a bit. But I really like Claude. Like if I had to just pick one at this point, I would go with Claude. So let's start. Give me an example of a creator, or what they're doing, and let's start with some just like basic research.
Yeah, I mean, I think what could be interesting, and now, I mean, Claude is so awesome with the co-work, and also, I mean, I use co-work quite a bit, and also
Hmm.
diving into code. I think that's more on the advanced side, when you
Yeah.
set up the skills and stuff. But if
Yep.
you talk about more the regular setup, I mean, how do you use it, Chris? Do you use it with projects? So what is the best way to get the most out of Claude? Maybe we can start there. And then, of
Yep.
course, there's different, I mean, I would use it probably to write for different social media platforms and stuff like that, but still making sure it's in my own voice and all of that. So kind of starting, as you said, with the research, maybe ideation and stuff like that. Yes.
Yep. All right. So obviously, if you're just starting with it, you want it to know as much about you as possible. So what I would recommend is getting something like Whisperflow, which is a voice dictation app, that is really, really good. For a while, I thought it was like, whatever, it's not really that needed. But it's so good. And basically, all you do with that is you just press like a key on your keyboard, and well, I'll show you right here. I'm just going to talk. So I'm going to talk about what makes me special. What are the things that I'm really good at? What are the things that I'm not? Blah, 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 blah. So that's going to pop up here. And let's just say that actually had real information. It would be very helpful. What I just did was not very helpful. But that's okay. So you wanted to get to know you wanted to get to know your voice, things like that. But let's just start with like just some basic things. So one of the things, let's say you're the creator that's watching this, let's say they're in the dating niche. Okay. So, and maybe they have a course. So I am a creator. Oh, actually, we're going to do it this way. I am a creator in the dating niche, and I have a course on how to manifest your soulmate that I currently sell. Ooh, oh, wait. All right, cool. Currently sell for $997. And I need to do a really in-depth competitor analysis of what else is out there, from low-end courses to high-end matchmakers. Tell me where everyone is, what they specialize in, what they're really good at, what they're lacking, and what their prices are. So, a lot of times people think that you have to have like all these like special prompts or, anything like that. But the AIs are so good now that you really can just talk and explain what you need. And as long as you're, pretty clear about that, then it's going to figure out what you want. So in about a year ago, to get the information that we're going to get now, you would have had to have a pretty in-depth prompt that really, that goes into every single thing. Now that these LLMs are so good and so smart, you don't need to. So it's going to come back to us with a pretty in-depth competitive analysis and a document that we can then use for making our course better. We can see if there's like something that we missed that is in there, et cetera, et cetera. So we can just let that run for a minute.
Yeah, I also use Whisperflow a lot. I mean, it seems to be one of the most popular tools to use. I
I
mean, many
know.
people mention it, and I mean, it's so
I
easy. I,
know.
I love Whisperflow as well.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I thought of it. I'm like, it's too easy. Like they have dictating on all these other things, but then you just get used to just hitting that function key, and it's just works so well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's see what happens, because the LLMs or like Claude or ChatGPT, they could technically kill a tool like this if they wanted to, but let's see how long they stick
Exactly.
around. But they clean up the transcript very well, and when you dictate. So I think that's very useful actually.
Yeah, they nailed it. All right, so here's what it gives you: competitor analysis. So this we have in Google Docs, and you can get in there, you can change things, you can edit, you can leave comments, whatever you want. So if you look here, it gives you a nice quick executive summary, but it also gives you what the biggest strategic takeaway is. And again, if you remember, this was not some fancy prompt or a skill or anything like that. This was just saying, here's what I need, here's what I'm looking for, make sure you cover the entire market. So the biggest strategic takeaway: there's a massive gap in the market between low-cost digital manifestation courses and high-end dating one-on-one coaching. So anywhere from $37 to 24,000. Your $997 price point sits right in this gap, but only a handful of competitors occupy this space with you. So that tells you it's you're probably in a good position. That is both your opportunity and your challenge. You need to clearly differentiate from the cheap manifestation courses below you and justify your price against the practical dating coaches above you. So then it just gives you a quick overview of the market landscape. Here's where they're at. So everything from budget, digital to elite matchmaking. And the cool thing here to look at is the buyer profile. So you start to see, all right, where are my people more? Like, how would I explain them better? Are they curious beginners or are they professional executives? Where am I serving? And then this part is great because it tells you some of the key players. So if you're really involved in your niche, in your understanding your competitors, you probably know some of them, but you probably don't know all of them. It's really, really helpful to be able to understand who your person is also getting information from. They're probably subscribed to Matthew Hussey or, maybe Nancy Ruth Dean, etc. So, and then it gives a good breakdown of each tier. So here's like the really cheap ones, the budget digital products, and what they primarily consist of. So here's the interesting thing. Gabby Bernstein is, you would think would be at a higher end if you know who she is and everything, but where she's really focused is on her challenges, paid challenges, and and moving people into her app, which is $199 a year. So she's not primarily focused just on love, but it's a big part of manifesting. Usually people want to manifest a soulmate or lots of money or a better body. Those are always the things: romance, finance, body. All right, so here's the mid-tier. So this is like right below that person that we're using as an example at $997, and this breaks down all these different parts of each of these people. So check this out. So this is what she does well. So she's very specific in her niche. So I'm looking at Nancy Ruth Dean. But where she lacks, she has a tiny audience. Her 10-day format is too short for real form transformation. So you can see in the things that somebody does well, you would look at that and say, all right, how can I potentially do more of that? And you can use AI to help you, and I can show you how. But also if you were wanting to take this person on specifically, then you would really be paying attention to what she lacks and using that to call out that you have those things. So you're in this case where she has no real accountability system, you would talk about the accountability that is built into your program. So, and then here we have all these different people. And then, all right, the premium courses. So this is where our person at $997 would be. So not at the lowest end, not at the highest end, almost right exactly in the middle. And so these are the ones you'd probably really want to look at and go deeper in. And so for example, let me just show you something with this. So let's say that Evan is somebody that we want to have go deeper in. You would come here. I want you to give me a breakdown of Evan Marquette's marketing strategies and social media. Where has he done really well and where are the gaps? So, all right, so we'll let that run on Evan, and then we'll come back to that in a minute. So this is like where you would want to spend time and really understand, like, what are the gaps? What does the person do well? Like, how could you potentially do it better? And then here, like, these are, like, let's say that you're thinking of how to get more out of your people in terms of how do you get them to go deeper. So maybe you're going to have a partner with a dating coach or something like that. This gives you a good understanding of how those people work, what they're doing good, what they're not. And then here's like the elite matchmaking service. And as I mentioned earlier, like these are ones that are great to price anchor. So you're like, okay, well, my program is $997, but if you were working with Talkify, you could be spending anywhere from 4,900 to 70,000. So, and we get just as good results, or whatever you want to do there. So then we come back down here. So here's like the opportunities that no one owns practical manifestation. So the meaning that that's something that you could potentially latch onto, as if that's what you were, if manifestation was part of what the offer is, which it is. There's this dead zone between $500 and $3,000. So it tells you all these different things, and you can pay close attention. Those are really, really helpful. And then it also talks about what your biggest, strongest positioning angles. Now, this is giving us this information with very little information about what we actually do. So imagine if you had put in all the information, uploaded stuff, from your courses, that type of thing. You're going to get such better answers. But this gives us a pretty good understanding of how to position ourselves. This is like the vulnerabilities, so like credibility gap, price justification, and then this is so helpful. It creates like a pricing table for you, and shows you everything. So you could just look at this quick and have a good understanding of where people are. So, and then it gives you strategic action items. So, and then you could go deeper on any of these. So we'll just grab one of these. Remember, we wanted to go deeper into Evan. So here's where he stands currently. So 31,000 followers, a lot of posts flat growth. He admitted his follower count has been stagnant for years. YouTube, slow growth. Twitter, a lot of posts, but nothing really. They didn't even give it how many followers he has. So yeah, this is pretty not good. So you have a good understanding what he's done really well. So SEO driven blog is the foundation of everything, positioning and tagline. So he has been able to do that well. Where the gaps are and where you could, so let's say here, we're going to come here, and this is how we make this work. What content can I create inspired by what he does, but make it 10x better? All right, so what content can I create inspired by what he does, but make it 10x better? So what it's going to do now is give us a reverse engineer of his content. So, and most importantly, his 1,000 plus blog posts and 35 million readers. So that's been his real pipeline is from there. Here's his content pillars. So what he talks about. So confidence, meeting men, dating, understanding men, relationships, commitment. And the topics that consistently get him the most engagement are understanding men and dating. So that, and then it gets a little bit more specific. His most referenced pieces are about why men pull away, why he disappeared, and how to stop chasing the wrong men. All right. So the 10X framework, his topic plus your delivery. So content series number 1, and it gives us all content now based on what has worked really well for him, but it then will give it to you. We can create it in your voice. So content series number 1, why he disappeared. This is his best-selling ebook title and his most referenced. So the 10X version of this is the energy he felt before he left. So basically they're saying flip the entire frame from strategy to energy. So instead of you talking about it from strategy, which he does, you talk about it from energy. You with me, Navid?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is super valuable. I think some people don't realize you can do things like this in Claude very easily, actually, with the competitor analysis. I mean, this is in a few minutes of work, you basically get this super long and detailed competitor analysis and just researching things that would probably take you hours. I mean, if you're good, maybe you can do it in 1 hour, but still getting all of this, I think is several hours. And, that's for sure.
This is a week of work.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a week even. Yeah, I mean, to gather all the sources and stuff, I think,
exactly.
yeah,
So
for sure.
here's So here's cool. So then here's, it gives us even hooks. He didn't ghost you because of something you said. He ghosted you because it's something you were radiating. So that's definitely a lean in for somebody. You know, that would be the hook, the social media hook. The exact moment you lost him wasn't the awkward text. It was 3 days before that. Again, that you want to open that up. You want to watch the reel, because that is, you want to know what did you do 3 days before. So, and then here's like another one. So like that has worked really well for him. Your man picker is broken. This is arguably his number one coaching concept. So what can we do? Your 10x, our 10x version, you're not unlucky in love, you're magnetizing the wrong pattern. And again, like, let's say magnetizing isn't the word that you would want to use, change it. You don't need to, take any of this completely. And what I always recommend is let AI do 80% of the work, and then you do 20%. So you want it to just get to 80% of good. And then you're going to take that, you're going to put your secret sauce on it. You're going to put your voice on it even more. You're going to change some things, and then you're going to get it to 100. You're going to do 20% of the work. Don't think about AI as like getting, like, that you have to get it to 100, because that is just going to remove you completely. Sometimes it does, but the way I always think about it is I just wanted to get it to 80%. So this gives us all these different content angles. Here's another one. And then, like, let's say that here, we're going to just take one of these. The soulmate energy. All right. Take this and turn it into a 90-second reel. All right, so we're going to take this. So one of those examples, and this is how we keep getting more and more out of all of this work. So turn it into a 90-second reel. So here we go. The soulmate frequency shift. So it gives us the pattern interrupt hook. So the pattern interrupt, you always want to have a pattern interrupt, because think about somebody just scrolling. You ever watch people, like, you're in line in Starbucks and you're watching them scroll? I love doing that. And I love seeing what they are, what they click on. But the pattern interrupt is something that interrupts what they're doing. So their pattern is just a scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll. So you interrupt it with your hook. So here's the hook. Every dating coach will tell you to mirror his text and play it cool. I'm going to tell you why that's keeping you single. So if you're a woman that is reading this or sees that, and you're single and you're trying to find your partner, you're going to probably have to click that, because you want to know why that's keeping you single, because you mirror his text all the time and you thought it was great because some other coach told you that. But now we're saying, no, it's the opposite. And then here it's going to get into this whole thing. So agitate the problem, the insight, and these can all, like, ideally you can just record these just with your phone and just do them all as different cuts. So even you don't need like a teleprompter app or anything like that. Just look at it and get the idea, do that with your phone, boom, cut. And you can use something like Edits by Meta, to make it super simple. So here we go. Here's the insight, the shift. This is the teaching moment. And then you give some proof, and then a CTA. And that's how you get all of this, to really start making a difference for you. And now we can say, now turn it into a 500-word email. So, maybe 15 minutes ago, we didn't know who this person was. Now they're helping us create all kinds of great content, and that with great hooks and pattern interrupts and all this. And it's amazing how much that changes, like, how you look at things.
I love how you started with the competitor analysis, and now we are getting into kind of the details, like with content actually from this. So, I mean, you can go back and forth as you are doing here. It doesn't have to, I mean, if it's not perfect or maybe it's not aligned with you, you can also upload examples. I think that could also help a lot more. As you mentioned before, if you add the more context you add, of course the output will be even better, so they know you more. We actually started pretty basic, like you just use Whisperflow to say a few things, and it's
Yeah.
still doing a pretty decent job with this without all this context. If you are doing this and you are in this niche, you will add a lot more context to this.
Exactly. And look, so the cool thing here is it will give us two different examples. So if we want it to be direct and punchy, like if that's that's our style, then here we go. This is why dating smarter isn't working. I need to be honest with you about something. Every dating coach on the internet is telling you the same thing. Mirror is effort. Don't double check. Blah, blah, blah. But so we just took that, his best content and now turned it into our own email, or we could do it more story-based and warm. She was single for 4 years. Then everything shifted. I want to tell you about a woman I worked with. I'll call her Sarah. Sarah had done everything right. Great career, great friends, took care of herself, had been more on first dates than she could count, but nothing ever stuck. Then it gets into that. And so you could change that completely. Or we could say that, all right, now turn this into a 10-minute YouTube video script. So now we're going to build and keep building. And if you look here, this is how it's thinking. So we'll see what it can come back with a 10-minute script, and it has to follow specific criteria. So it's kind of cool. We'll let it run for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, this is like everything you get from just one prompt you started with and getting a lot of marketing assets basically for your business. I mean, it's pretty
We could
amazing.
we could get everything from this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good hook. Like one prompt and getting all your marketing assets. That's pretty
Exactly.
good.
one prompt that you can just make up.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also improve that with more context. So it's going to be even better. But, for time in this session, we just did it pretty simple and still getting great output here.
Exactly. I'll just go to another. We can come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back to this one.
All right.
It's working. I mean, that's awesome. It's like working longer now. Even like we are not using Cowork or anything. It's just
No,
the regular Claude, it's
not
still working
code.
for a
Yeah,
while.
exactly. Okay, cool. So this is Manus. So while Claude is creating that YouTube script, we're going to come over here. So Manus was actually recently bought by Facebook, Meta, and this company, it was 10 months from start to acquisition, and it was a $2 billion acquisition. And Manus is really cool for it's more of an agent, so it can do things that Claude or ChatGPT can't do right now, like crawling the web and reviewing sites and things like that. So like if you give ChatGPT or you give Claude a URL, they can't really do anything with it. But with Manus you can. So what we're gonna do is I grabbed Matthew Hussey. So Matthew Hussey is very well known in the dating niche. He has about 2.6 million followers on Instagram, and we want to have a good understanding of what his best content is, and also where there are gaps. So we're just going to create a little prompt. I want you to go to this URL and give a full breakdown of his Instagram profile and top posts of the last 12 months. And also, what are the biggest gaps in his content? Where could we potentially improve with better content? All right. And we're just going to let that run. So the cool thing with Manus is that it literally will, you'll see, it'll open its own window. So it just opened its window, its own computer down there. And you have to just let it use your browser. So it's now using the browser. And if you click on this, we'll see what it's doing, which is kind of cool. So it's like in there, and you can see the work that it's doing. Like it made initial observations already. It's going through and trying to find like his best content. Here's like the content themes, like check out, like, I mean, this blows me away, how cool it is. And and that it can do it so quickly. So it's understanding all this different stuff about his profile, about what works. And then it's going to also give us understanding of how we can, use it for ourselves for this niche. So again, like nothing fancy in terms of the profile. I'm sorry, in terms of the prompt, but it's just a matter of telling it what to do, and it's going to go do it. So we could have done the same thing for YouTube or for X, whatever we want. We could have also asked it to go and crawl all of his different ones. But all right, so here, so this, you see, it's on that page, on his page, and going through and just analyzing everything, and it's looking for what the outliers are. So it's looking for the highest performing ones. So you see that I'll scroll up. Here's what it's found so far. Oh, it's moving too fast.
I mean, I love how Manus just works continuously. Basically, it doesn't
It's a
stop.
worker.
So
I know. It's
yeah,
wild. Yeah, and the good thing is it seems to have gotten better since Meta bought it, which is really cool. I think it's their first time they got like something that really works really, really well, and they're like, this is so good.
maybe because at the moment their AI is not maybe the top
No,
choice.
exactly. I never use it, but I always use this.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's go back while we're waiting for that to, all right, cool. So here it's almost perfect timing that the script is done. All right, so here's the cool thing. So check this out. So it tells us like the runtime. I asked it to be about 10 minutes. So it gave us the soulmate frequency shift. Why everything you've been taught about finding love is backwards. And then it even breaks down like, should this be talking head plus B-roll? So meaning it's just like straight camera, face the camera, and then B-roll to make your points better. And it has different titles. Why dating smarter is keeping you single. The soulmate frequency shift. I stopped looking for love and this happened. Blah blah blah. Okay. It even tells us what we could use for the thumbnail. And you could then take this and use this to go into like Google Gemini has a nano banana, the image creator. You can use that to upload one of your pictures. Boom, it's going to help you create a really good thumbnail and description, tags. So it really thought of like everything for you, and then even gives you a pinned comment that you can use. So drop a fire emoji if you ever felt like you were doing everything right in dating and still wasn't working. I read every comment. And then here's the script. It breaks it all down, cold open, direct to and it gives you everything here in gray italics. It gives you the exactly what to do. So it's like literally having a director with you. And then like even here, like over and over again, pause, let it land, and then give a slight head tilt. It's great. And then it just breaks it all down, part after part. And with this one, since this is a lot, you can definitely use a teleprompter app. So if you use something like Riverside, or you can just literally take this and just copy and paste it directly into the teleprompter app. And because this is a lot to memorize, and it would take a long time if you were just doing it on the go.
You could
But
also turn this into bullet points if you're not a person who's using scripts too much and you feel more like the free flow. I mean, some people
yep,
do that better. So then
yeah.
you can just turn that into some bullets. I mean, otherwise, like the Elgato prompter or something, I think is the best one probably if you want to do it the right way. But yeah, otherwise it can take a little while if you're gonna remember it. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it even gives us production notes, so B-roll suggestions. So this you could just get, like, hopefully you have an editor and just give it to your editor, like this whole thing, and tell them to pay attention to the last sheet. And then it also, this is cool, like it tells us like a repurpose plan. So how do we get the most out of this? How do we cut this down into clips? So cut 0 to 45 seconds is a standalone reel. Short, the hook and the frequency concept, like that's really that's cool. Like it gives you all this different stuff, testimonial reel, etc. So let's now go back to Manus and see if Manus is done. Hang on. All right, it is. Okay, cool. So here is the Matthew Hussey Instagram. So here is the breakdown. So 2.4 million followers. He's following 736 total posts. Okay, bioanalysis. So it's cool because they even see like what it thinks about the bio, and this is a good one. Because he has tons of social proof right there. 2x New York Times bestselling author and #1 YouTube channel for love life advice. So here's his highlights and like also how he monetizes. So in-person coaching events, then his AI tool, and then his book. So that's wherever he's trying to monetize or push people towards his products. That's what he's pushing them towards. And then here's his content themes. So the main stuff is relationship advice, personal development, red flags and green flags. So this is really smart because this is a big thing on social media and in the world in the last like couple of years. That's really smart. Deep relationship wisdom. And then here's his formats: reels, quote graphics, carousel posts, personal photos. All right, this is what we want to get into though. The top posts of the last 12 months. So the danger of if onlys addresses a common psychological trap in relationship, offering a sense of urgency and a clear problem to solve. Ghosting tells you everything. One of the most beautiful things in a relationship, if someone left you, and then there's a few more. All right. So, but this now sums it up for us. His most successful content tackles specific, mostly charged dating challenges and offers clear, empowering solutions. So that's you just file that away in terms of what you're doing. So high priority content gaps. So he primarily targets a millennial audience. So let's say that you were focused on Gen Z, then that's a big win for you. Technology and AI in relationships, modern dating trend breakdowns. So he doesn't really get into that. And then here's like the conclusion, and then it gives us all our references. So, and by the way, we could then just make this into a website if we wanted to. And so that, like, let's say you wanted to have it be easier, watch what will happen in a second.
I tend to use Manus as well to create like mini tools and stuff like that. It's really good for that as well, like lead
Yes,
magnets or something. I mean, it can take like a PDF and turn it into an interactive tool like in a few minutes. I mean, it's pretty
exactly.
amazing. I think
Yeah,
everyone should explore this. It's also very easy to use overall. I mean, the basic stuff at least.
exactly. Yeah, it really is, especially if you've heard a lot about agents, like AI agents, and you're hearing like Manus has their own, where is it? Yeah, like if you click on this thing, all right, it's building the website now. So what we're going to do while it does that is a post based on red green flags, but do not copy anything specifically from him.
Do you find Manus good at writing as well, like Claude, for example, or how? I mean,
It's not as good, but you can then take it and put it into Claude and make it better.
yeah,
It's not bad. It's definitely, I think Claude's definitely the best one.
yeah, for sure.
So one cool thing that you can do is if you understand people who are great marketers or great copywriters, and you can basically leverage them. So one of my favorite ones is, so how would Steve Jobs make, anytime I want to make something simpler, I always think about Steve Jobs because he was the king of simplicity. So my 997 program, more better and simpler. So you just take whatever you're working on. So like you could give it you could give it a URL to look at or anything like that. So this is a great question because Steve Jobs didn't think about products the way most course creators do. He thought about them the way an artist thinks about sculpture. What do I remove until only the essential remains? So it's really interesting exercise to go through because a lot of times we think we need to add everything to a landing page, a program, 5,000 bonuses, and you know what I mean? Like, and it many times the opposite, especially now, works better. So here he talks about like what he would have hated. Here's like what the typical course is: 47 modules, 12 bonuses, a Facebook group nobody checks, 3 surprise master classes, a workbook PDF that never gets open, and an overwhelming dashboard that makes people feel behind before they start. The creator thinks more equals more value. Jobs knew the opposite was true. More equals more confusion. More equals more guilt. More equals more people buy and never finish. And a course, nobody finishes a course that produces no results, no testimonials. So here's the cool thing. Jobs would start with one question. What is the one transformation this person needs? And what is the fastest, most elegant path to get them there? So again, like this is just a cool exercise to do. And you can think about it with, I love the Steve Jobs one because it makes me simplify things even more and more and more. And, you know, but you can also, there are marketers like Seth Godin, or you can even have Don Draper from Mad Men go in and rewrite your stuff. And he's amazing copywriter on most of these. So it's just a cool, a cool exercise to go through. And yeah, I love it. But look at how much information it's giving from just that. And it will help you. Hang on. And then here's like the simplified version: 30 days to break the pattern and become magnetically available for the love you've been calling in. And then the structure, the format, and the community, etc. So, and then it gives us like a whole test down here. All right. That's it with Manus. Let's finish here. All right, here's it created our nice little website. And if we want, we can publish this. And then instead of having to look at it as a document, we can look at it here. So here's the website that Manus created for us, and it gives us all the information here. And the cool thing is it also gives us a search feature. So you can search the content themes. So yeah, and just gives us this in a nice, easy format to use. And then especially if we wanted to share that with anyone. So, and then let's finish this here. The signals you're missing: red flags and green flags in modern relationships. Here's what Manus came up with us for the red flags and green flags. So we can just build more content off of this.
Yeah.
So,
This
all
is
right.
super useful, actually. I think a lot of people don't think about it in this way. You have showed it, Chris. I mean, you started with the competitor analysis, and then you're going deeper and deeper, essentially, and using both Claude, Manus. But yeah, I mean, do you use any other tools in your workflow? I mean, I think something that could be interesting to ask you is like, what tools do you pay for, and which ones
Yeah.
would you recommend to use? I mean, for at least
Yeah.
what you are doing in your business.
So I have like the max plan for ChatGPT, so it's like maybe $200 a month. The same thing for Claude, I think it's $120. And then Manus, I think it's 200. And I also sometimes use Gemini. I use that more for like creating images. We use a tool called Cockatoo for transcription. It's like a great transcription tool. I showed you I use Whisperflow a lot. That's really good. I use Claude Code and Claude Cowork. So those would be like a separate thing. Like they're a little bit more advanced, and but really, really powerful tools to use. And I mean, I use a lot, but I actually have tried to go the other way and not use quite as many things. There's a tool called Free Pick,
I
which
love
is
Free Pick, man, for
you
the
do.
visual and imagery and all of that. Free Pick is probably the most valuable subscription in terms of that. They have all the models and stuff included. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
aggregator basically. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So that's freepik.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and then I use OpenClaw, which is just still trying to see exactly how I want to use it, and getting it, really going. But yeah, those are the main ones.
Have you set it up yet? How do
Yeah,
you use it? And
it's in there for a lot for content research.
yeah,
So coming up with ideas and just having it like always going and looking through Reddit, looking through, Drudge Report, all these different places to find ideas and really flesh them out. That's like
okay,
one of the
very
best
interesting.
ways that I
So
use it.
you use it
Um
with a Mac Mini or something? Or?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what's usually the daily cost to run something like that? I'm sure many people will they see all the hype on social media, but it's probably not something you start out with. Maybe something if you because it's still a daily cost, but it's still a lot cheaper than having an employee, obviously. So you have
Exactly.
to kind of
Yeah.
you have to weigh it against that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's more than $5 a day. I don't think I've ever
Okay,
really gotten over that.
I mean that's
Yeah,
fine.
but I'm not
That's
using it like crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I saw
I
some crazier stuff when they're like doing a lot of heavy stuff, and they spend a lot more, man.
exactly. People are spending so much. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, because that's the main thing I have it going for. Yeah,
Okay, cool. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think with AI, people, I have actually more. I pay more for tools today, which is kind of interesting than I did like years ago. But I also get a lot more work done. So I think people
yeah.
have to kind of see that. But if you're starting out, I think just start with one tool to kind of master that, and then go to the next, kind of seeing what you need in your business a little bit. I don't know how you may
I
kind of audit what you are doing already. I think that's kind of a
I
good thing.
if I had to pick one thing, I would get the Claude Max plan, and that's the best money you could spend because there's so much in there. Like I really think that Claude Anthropic is going to be the company that wins. I don't think it's going to be OpenAI. I think it's going to be Anthropic. They're so good at they're shipping stuff constantly, and it's good. Like, Claude Code is unbelievable. They had somebody created that, I think, in a couple of weekends, like just working on the side. And Claude Cowork like, you think it's magic. I had Claude Cowork go because it connects Claude Code and Claude Cowork both connect directly to your computer. And when I first tried Cowork, I had it go through and organize everything in my downloads folder, which is a mess, beyond belief.
Yeah,
It
tell
created
me, I did the
all the
same, man. It's amazing. I love that
it was
actually.
unreal. It created all
Yeah.
these different folders, everything. Like, yeah, it's like this stuff is just amazing. So
And that is pretty much one of the things they suggest when you're just going into
yeah,
Claude
yeah,
Code. I mean,
exactly.
that's
Yeah,
just one of the regular stuff you can do. But
yeah,
I think something interesting with this, what we just did during this session was like, I mean, we were using the regular Claude, but you can actually create skills based
yeah,
on what you are doing. I mean, that's pretty. You can even tell Claude to create a skill. I don't know if you're doing this in your business for different use
yeah.
cases, and then you can
You,
use that inside of Claude Cowork to just get a lot done, basically.
and Claude can pull the skill as well. So if you saw, it was pulling, like when it did the email one, it pulled from an email writer that I have installed there. So like it brought them through that, which is really cool. So yeah, the skills are amazing. Skills basically is like a way to never have to explain yourself again. So it'll just reference it, or you can say, use this. And the cool thing is skills are pretty easy to create because it can just be you talk like we did, or like you find a YouTube video, for example, that it walks you through something, and then you have it create that as the skill. It's crazy. It's so crazy. And then like that's how you get the most out of YouTube.
People overcomplicate that quite a bit. I think they make it sound more complicated than it is, because
Exactly.
really the skills that could be like a prompt or a guide or an SOP,
Yeah.
or as you said, a YouTube video explaining a concept. Maybe you want to grow your personal brand with AI or whatever. I mean, you can create a
Yep.
skill around this, or like a plan for Instagram, whatever you want, and then you have it inside there. You never have to do it
Yeah.
again. I also use Notion AI quite a bit. I mean,
Oh
that's
yes.
kind of all
Same. Yeah.
my entire workspace. And I think it's interesting. But now with Claude becoming so powerful in the native app, I think, yeah, Notion had got some work, but they do have they have an agent feature. But I do think for sure Claude Cowork is just more powerful. But inside your workspace, Notion can do for sure quite a bit. You can even
Yeah.
take what you're doing inside of Claude. Maybe you want to create a habit tracker and you have a prompt for that, and then you bring it into Notion. I mean, it can create all this for you. I think it's
Yeah.
use them in combination is really good, because Notion business plan is pretty inexpensive too. It's not that I
Yeah.
mean,
I have
yeah, at
Notion
least
as
compared to
well.
Claude Max, and you even get unlimited, which is kind of cool. And I never run
Yeah.
out on Notion, but you don't get all the features that you get inside of the native tools, obviously. So
Yeah. Yep.
quite cool. Awesome,
Cool.
man. Anything else that you wanted us to get into that we didn't touch upon before we kind of wrap things up? I think we got into quite a bit here.
Yeah, I think if somebody just goes through this step by step and redoes it, like they're gonna get so much value. So I will go with Steve Jobs and say less is more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, so we started this, we got into the competitor analysis, and then we got kind of a full marketing built out from one kind of simple dictation prompt. So very
Exactly.
cool, man. So yeah, where can people connect more with you? What do you have coming? What are you excited about?
Yeah, connect with me on Instagram, Chris Winfield. That is where I am the most. And we're launching a new app, new startup, in the next month or so, called Hey Vision, and it's basically an executive assistant agent for coaches.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, tell me more when it's out, and
I know.
I'll be sure to link it up as well if it's out when, yeah, we release
Exactly.
the session.
I'll let you
But
know. I'll let you know.
yeah, for sure. And if you're watching this and got value, be sure to leave your biggest takeaways. Go connect with Chris and everything he's up to. He's doing awesome things in the world of AI and social media and stuff like that. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.